wheel of time turns and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Welcome to Dragonmount. I'm Kathy Campbell.
I'm Rajiv Moté.
And I'm Maureen Carr. Hey, we're talking about episode 3, which is titled What Might Be. The director is Sanaa Humri, and it was written by John McCutcheon.
Oh, goodness. So this episode is the Nynaeve episode.
It's the best episode.
It's so good. The first watch through, I apparently forgot a lot of this episode. So rewatching it was a surprise for parts of it. And in my notes, I have 7 pages of notes. 4 of them are colored yellow for Nynaeve. So this is epic. Epically Nynaeve, yes, shall we say.
Very much so.
And because of that, we are going to kind of deviate just a little bit from how we normally do an episode. We're going to start with Nynaeve and end with Nynaeve, split in half, because that's kind of how she is in the episode. Mm-hmm. She starts and ends the episode. And in between, we will stick the rest of the stories, I guess, in episode 3. How's that sound to you?
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Excellent.
So we've got 2 parts of the accepted testing that we're going to do. We're going to do the scene with the Shan. We have a sequence that's in Carrion. And we have, of course, the White Tower. So
Lots
where do you want to start,
Tower.
Kathy?
Let's start at the beginning. At the end of the last episode, we know that Liandrin had... how do we say, finagled, begged, borrowed, stealed?
She has exercised her influence.
Yes,
to
yes.
get Nynaeve into the Arches for the testing to become accepted, the next level of initiate of the White Tower.
Yes. And so here they are. We have a great bit of exposition to explain what the Terangrial are, how some need women to channel, some anyone can do, and how difficult it is to do the research for it, and how these ones are safe. Kind of.
We know what they do, or the Aes Sedai
we know what they do.
What they do.
Yeah, they're not
it's
safe.
It's not safe.
I think you have a better chance of dying in the Arches than dying from a knife wound.
Yeah, definitely
Yes.
in this world.
Yeah.
Knives are useless. But yeah, so what's interesting, I thought, is that we get a callback to. We get the exposition about what the Arches do, but we get a callback to the thematic elements of the previous episode, of episode 2, and Liandrin spells it out. She tells Nynaeve, if you do this for someone else, you will fail. Do this for you, or not at all. So the theme here is, Nynaeve, what is your reason for being in the tower? Not on behalf of anyone else, not to keep Egwene safe. Why are you here, and why do you belong in the tower?
And what are your fears? This goes deep into the novices' fears that they have and what makes them a person. I think that these, who knows what the Arches were originally made for, because we know that the Terangrial can't be made anymore. So these are all leftover from the past, and you don't know necessarily what they originally were for, but for this,
my theory is it's a sadistic escape room. But
I mean, yeah, I could see that. Everyone, I wonder if you can go through it again if you hit the same. That's
a good question.
Interesting thought. We'll discuss that in the book section.
Definitely.
Let's add that to the notes, Rajiv, to talk about in books.
Yeah, well, one thing that's interesting about this is that in what happens previously, because they gave the whole spiel about, is she ready to face her fears? She does not know them, but is willing to try. And then in the recap, it flashes back to her healing Lan when he was bleeding out. And it flashes back to her channeling at Tarwin's Gap. So it's already alluding to what she's afraid of before we even started this episode.
Yes. I love, previously on, because it really helps guide to let you know what's going to happen in the episode in an interesting way. And I also interesting is the fact that even though this is very ritualistic, you have the 3 Aes Sedai, they say what they have to say. You can tell that it's very like what is said is written. Your fears are your own. The way back only comes once. Once you begin, you must continue to seek, to strive, is to know danger, like all of these things. And yet there's such an individuality with the Aes Sedai, like how they're standing. Yes, they are, in the line. And then when Leanne is getting ready to channel, she steps forward. So she's, the focus of the circle. And yet, like, their hands are each in a different way. Leanne holds them very high at her waist. Sheriam, for the most part, like, had them like relaxed, but holding her hands in front of her. Leandra just kind of has her hands to the side. Like, there's a very, like, not casual, but like however you want to stand is how you want to stand. And I don't know necessarily like how much of that was planned versus, like, hey,
it could have
how
easily
would
been
your characters
locked up in gestures. You're right.
Yes, yes, but it was interesting because a lot of times these types of moments in TV shows and movies and stuff, everyone is wearing the same clothing, or they have the same, like, a fancy hood and cloak or something to like have that epic level of ritualism in it. But this was very much, hey, we're Aes Sedai, we're individual, we're all 3 from different, oh no, I guess not 3. 2 of them are from different Ajas, or 2 of them are from the same Aja, and then we have a different Aja. It's like, there's no rhyme or reason necessarily for this type of ritual. So yeah, I think it was interesting. And then, of course, spirit is the weave, is the power that is used to power the arches.
Yeah, and that was the white one, right? The white weaves.
Yes.
Yep.
I do like your observation, Kathy, that each of them have different kind of stances and ways of moving their hands. Because I don't know if this has been established yet in the show, but certainly in the books, you could tell an Aes Sedai who she learned from by how she does her gestures. So it's a very individualized thing, and different women learn from different teachers, and the way they channel reflects that. So, if this was deliberate, it was an awesome choice because it's very true to what the lore says about this.
Yeah, and I think it lines up with the way that the novices were doing it last episode in the kitchens, where they're each moving their hands just a little bit different.
Right,
Alana didn't say, okay, take your hands this way and move it this way.
Everybody
so it's
watch
not,
me do this.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like a traditional, I'm going to, mention the other magic, and forgive me for, bringing up Harry Potter, but there's specific ways that you're supposed to move your wand, and like you have to do it a certain way with the right flick or whatever, and say the words the proper way for it to work. Whereas oh my gosh, that was creepy.
I was like, that's not me talking.
I know. I was like, where did that come from? So I think it's really interesting that the magic here is kind of a like mental belief. Like, what do you think? However you force it to happen.
Yep.
Yeah, and drawing on that, they say they're weaves and they're weaving them together. And that goes back to crafting, specifically with crochet. I'm thinking it doesn't matter how the crocheter holds their hook. Some people yarn over, some people yarn under. I mean, you figure out what works best for you, and then you adapt whatever pattern you're making, like with your style. So I think it definitely feeds back to that. And that applies for sewing, cross stitch, knitting, anything that uses, traditional yarn, strands, that type of thing.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't use like a loom. I cross stitch, and that's as crafty as I can get. But I can imagine that it's similar. Like as long as you push it tight enough and you have the tension, the right things, like all of the larger surfaces. The same with like knitting and crocheting. You have to have that tension, the right amount. But it doesn't matter specifically like how you hold the shuttle to push it through the loom to make it work. And that's really, I love that they embrace that. I love that this, whether it was an accident or on purpose, I don't know. If any of our favorite, people are listening to this episode for some reason, let us know if that was on purpose, because I want to know.
And so one thing we should mention before we go into the tests themselves is there's another rule around these tests, and that's that, at least according to Shuriam, not even the 1 power will be available to you inside the Archers, which, you've watched this episode, that turns out not to be the case. And I think it's another revelation of just how these Aes Sedai are playing with things they don't understand completely. Much has been lost.
Yes.
And they've got their rituals, they've got their, the solemn statements that they make, but they don't actually know what's going on.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, they know what they might have tried in the past. Like they, especially Shuriam has been, Mistress of Novices for however long. She knows a lot about the accepted, and most of them probably come out saying, I tried to channel to save whatever, or like get rid of blah, 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 or whatever. And it doesn't, if you don't have the ability to do that, you would talk about it. And so I think it's probably just kind of an accepted, no pun intended, belief that you can't channel in and period. Like that's just the rule.
And we know that Aes Sedai can't lie, but that doesn't mean they know the truth.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, good point.
They can't tell a lie based on what they know and believe.
Right.
Well, shall we hop into the 3 tests?
Test 1. Nynaeve is a child. And, we got this story, including the prayer that she says in the Old Town.
Yes.
And we now see it in scene, how her parents died, how she became an orphan. They were attacked by bandits. Her parents whisked her into the cellar to keep her safe. And as the bandits broke through the door, her parents were killed, and she survived. And in this iteration, the gateway appears. The gateway appears while her parents are basically being brutalized upstairs, and Nynaeve can see this. Nynaeve as a child can see this, and she flees.
After making eye contact with her dead mother through the floorboards. Oh my goodness, that is just like, heartbreaking.
I think what is really interesting and part of the ritual is that what they say after you come out is you are washed clean of your sins and the sins committed against you. So this is very much a callback to past trauma. Can you get beyond your trauma, which is another thing that Shuriam talks to Egwene about in a very cold manner. We'll get there. We'll get there when we get to that.
We'll get
section.
there for sure. I really love. Sorry, I really love how they made Nynaeve look so young, without actually like aging her down or doing any, visual effects or whatever. Obviously, the reflection in the water, you see her as the little girl.
Right.
But by having her hair out and not braided, having it be her natural hair, and putting her in the short dress and the stockings and the shoes that they wear as little kids, you immediately lose years off of her face and her body and how she sits and then how she acted through it too. I mean, Zoe Robbins, we all know, is a fantastic actor.
Yes.
But this balance between the innocence of being able to spend time with her parents, well, her dad, and then, momentarily her mom, who has the Two Rivers longbow and is a beast with it.
Knows how to use it,
And she knows how to use it.
Yes.
Yeah, total badass.
Uh-huh.
Amazing. I love that. And we also see that whatever happens in the arches to your body physically remains when you leave.
Sometimes, as they explain, sometimes women take hurts that appear afterwards, and Leanne actually has to heal Nynaeve there, and some of them are like hacked to the bone and come out without a scratch. So we don't know the physics. Chances are the Aes Sedai don't know why.
Oh, they definitely don't know.
They're guessing. They're playing with stuff they have no real comprehension about, which is so interesting because it's a sort of an arrogance, an institutional arrogance.
Oh, it's an absolute arrogance, definitely, without a doubt, 100% arrogance. And I mean, that just sets up the Aes Sedai to be who they are.
Yep.
And they're like, hey, by the way, get back in there. Let's do another arch because you can't, once you begin, you must continue.
And one other thing is the testing starts with Nynaeve holding that crimson thorn. What is it called?
Yes.
Crimson thorn root.
Crimson thorn, which is like, why? Why would that have been relevant to this particular memory or episode? And then it just appears
Red is dead, right?
Red is dead.
That's what her dad
But
said.
also, that was what was on her mind because she was with Leandrin and had that whole thing. So I think the whole idea of what happens in these fears are kind of like your thoughts and memories. So there's a very good chance that the Crimson Thorn root didn't exist in that moment of the part of her, becoming an orphan, but in this essence, it did because it was so on her mind.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense because it just keeps appearing.
Well, especially because we know that this is basically the same night that she came back from seeing Leandrin's son. Yeah. So, like, there's not a whole lot of time for her to have, like, wiped the Crimson Thorn root out of her head.
It also appears in the second test.
Yes.
Natty Cawthon is kind of... well, let's get right to it.
Let's get into it.
Yeah,
let's get into it.
So the second time Nynaeve goes through the arches...
A second arch, which, by the way, is on the right-hand side, which... is interesting. When I read the books, I kind of figured it'd be like in, clockwise. Like you go to one and then you step into the next and the next. But no, they go to the left and then to the right and then the center one is the last one. So I don't know. That doesn't mean anything. It's just a thought I had.
An aesthetic choice. They were all supposed to be connected by the same apex as well. But
that's true.
We're spaced out.
Yeah,
so that's fine.
That's fine.
So she goes through the second arch, and she is now she is the wisdom who left the Two Rivers, and she is back, and plague, some disease, some fever that leaves a pox, has swept through the district, and we see that Tam is lying in the hospital ward. He's dying of this fever, and Natty Cowthon, Matt's mom, is acting as wisdom, and she doesn't know about herbs, and she's got Crimson Thorn right there, and Natty so much as admits that, well, I can't do anything about this. This is to give them a painless death. And Tam,
which
even knows
makes sense
that.
if you can't heal it, and they can't, she says that she wrote to the White Tower. She told them, hey, this is like what we asked for help and nobody gave us.
Nobody came, and
help.
Nynaeve is the first sister, quote unquote sister, that they've seen. Yeah. And
Nynaeve tries to channel here. You see her, trying to do the same movements that the Accepted did for the Breakbone fever. But obviously nothing happens.
Here the rules play out. She can't channel. Now, is it because she has so much trouble channeling normally, or is it because of the rules of the Archers? Can't really tell.
Yeah.
But
no one knows,
fails.
but she tried.
It fails.
Yeah.
She tried and she failed. And then Tim says, okay, well, I know what's going to happen to me. Can you at least stay with me? It's a comfort to see you. Thank you for taking care of Rand. Just stay with me until the Crimson Thorn takes effect. But then, of course, the Arch appears. And she has to leave him. And
I'll be right back.
Yeah. She says she'll be back, but of course she's not going to. She knows she's not going to.
Yeah.
I loved this test. This was part of the books as well. It played out in a very similar way. And they had different wordings in the books. I'm not spoiling anything, but they say something like, you're washed clean of false pride. Not the sins done against you or that you might have done, but you're washed of your false pride. And this was very much a test where Nynaeve knew she was a good wisdom. And that was she hung her hat on that. That was her point of pride. And
the power of herbs.
Yes.
That also.
Yes. And her knowledge, her ability. And, this pride then is saying, well, if I leave the Two Rivers, they'll be lost without me. Nobody can take my place. And that is what she has to overcome, that feeling like, well, the thing that she's already good at is where she's needed the most.
Yep.
And in this one, she does. She passes the test. She leaves. It hurts like hell, but she leaves.
Yeah, and she's so, heartbroken. But she knows, okay, I got this. I can help more if I become an Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
And the first thing she does is, there's a plague in the Two Rivers. We've got to send sisters.
Right.
Yes. And, Leandrin, or, oh gosh, I don't remember who, is like, hey, these are your own fears.
Yeah, don't burden
us.
About them.
Yeah, don't burden us with them.
They say that.
Yes, don't burden us with your fears. Oh, such a little stab. And also, you can't leave.
Right. You have to go through all three arches now. That we're not stopping.
Yep.
You stop now,
which
you're
I think is really smart as a rule. So you can't do, especially this middle thing is, the middle one is the present, the second one, the present. And so I'm guessing everyone that comes out is something they think is presently happening that they want to try.
Yeah,
and
that
so
makes sense.
So you can't leave to go fix whatever is presently happening.
So it's almost like they're tested twice then, because they have to escape the ring and then they have to put to pass what they want to fix about the ring. Because even the first one, she's like, can I go back and fix it? If I go back, can I change what happened? So she even wanted to fix the one way in the past when she was a little girl.
Yes. Yeah.
That would be a time travel paradox. No, not allowed. We'll get to Balefire later, but okay.
Right. That's not a thing yet. We're not talking about that. All right. So it's time for the third one. Nynaeve walks through the arches, and it's this massive, like, Nynaeve is wearing this beautiful red dress with a belt, and you're hearing screams, and there's flames, and Lan is talking
Lan's
to
dialogue
her
about how he loves her.
Yeah, all of it is just like not obsessed, but like it's all engulfed in this idea of her and Lan and the stress of it, and someone's hurting, who knows. But then she comes stumbling out of the arches. She's got the Hadori in her hand, covered in blood.
Lan's headband, the Hadori.
Yes. And there's blood all over her shift. The Leanne walking around and basically like,
and it's not her blood, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, it's not. It's not your blood. Like her face.
No need for healing.
Was like flawless, of just like, ew, it's blood. Like, oh my gosh, I am in love with Lan. Or with Leanne.
Yeah,
I'm in love with her. This character is just phenomenal, and I just love the actor that plays her too, because it's mwah.
So I want to pause a little bit on that imagery, because it's this, we don't get a full-fledged this is the scene where, she's in some situation. Instead, we have these voiceovers and just Nynaeve falling in, like you said, a beautiful red dress. But, red has been introduced multiple times during this test. We had the Crimson Thorn root. We had the statement, red is dead. And, of course, then there's Liandrin as the Red Aja. And she desperately wants Nynaeve to be part of the Red Aja. And then, of course, there's the symbolism of blood. And here we have Nynaeve in a very shockingly red dress. And that's all we see. She's falling through like a void as we hear this other stuff. And all we see is this rippling, undulating red. What did you make of that?
Oh, so, like, stressful. Especially when she comes out and she's just like, I don't remember. I can't remember.
Yeah, well, I was disappointed because I was like, where's the scene with Lan on the hillside? I need to see that scene.
Yeah.
Well, hold on to your horses, because this whole moment, Leanne, Sheriam tries to give her the ring.
Yep.
Congratulations, you're accepted. You made it through. And she's like, if this test is about turning my back on the people I love, I won't. Never. Like, she's just like, no, this is not worth it. She basically puts her foot down and is just like, screw you. I don't want to be an Aes Sedai. And, like, this moment, like, Leandrin is like, if you leave, you can never return. She's like, okay, and just leaves. And they're all like, what?
Yep.
Which was so funny. And then
she says goodbye to Egwene.
Yes, like, you can't leave. I need you. And she's like, nah, you're good. You don't need my protection anymore. I can see that now. We get a little bit more exposition. We learn what Aes Sedai means in the Old Tongue, which means servants of all. And she, like, gives Egwene the best, like, pep talk of, this is you.
Was that a backhanded compliment? I mean, it's not supposed to be, I think, but, like, Aes Sedai means servant of all, and you'll be the best of them. Does that?
I think
that's not how she said it, but
I think it's meant to be, because she sees the other Aes Sedai, this whole, in the accepted testing moment, she sees the fact that in order to be an Aes Sedai, you have to get rid of any of your other ties. Right. You're not allowed to care about your homeland or your family or anything. Your only goal is for the tower and the Aja. And so
to be a servant of all is actually to be a public servant, not to be this rarefied aristocrat. It's to actually serve the people.
And so she's connecting with Egwene in that sense of like, hey, you're good. I trust you, like, to be doing what is right because you were born in the Two Rivers. You will keep this going. Like, I think it's going to work. I think you're going to be good.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to have that moment there. And then we see her riding away. You see the Tarvalon behind.
Well, hold on. Is that Tarvalon?
Okay.
Because that to me looked like, you know how we did the in the last season we saw the Age of Legends as it was with all these towers, and then we saw kind of ruins, or not even ruins. They looked like mountains. They looked like rock formations. I thought that's what we saw in the background. I thought,
no.
oh, that's weird.
Okay, so I'm looking at it right now, and the tower is definitely there, but it's really far away.
Okay.
So she's traveled a ways,
Okay, so
because
she
it's
just-
the mountains. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because to me, that
and-
was a sign that something was amiss, but maybe not.
And for the record, she is not riding Bella. We spent about 10 minutes before we started recording because I was like, hold on, was that Bella? And after a deep dive on the internet, the horse that Nynaeve is riding does not have the 2 white socks on its back feet. So it is not Bella.
Right.
So Bella does not appear, but Mandarb does because Lan comes in to have this moment. I mean,
Alana
the
told
epic,
me you were going through the arches. I came as fast as I could.
the moment.
My job
of
is beach.
Slow motion. Nice Barbie reference. The slow motion bit where Lan. Okay, so first off, why did they stop and get off the horses so far from each other? Like,
For dramatic effect.
what? Right?
Well,
I get it.
As
Like,
a Hindi film aficionado, that's so you can run together. but-
Exactly. Yes.
yes. Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
My heart's
fine.
beating
And
fast
they have
just
this
thinking
moment.
of it. Just
Yeah.
so romantic.
This moment, and Lana's like, "If you'll have me,"
Oh my
and like she asks about Maureen, and he just like says nothing. And then, of course, I'll have you in the kiss. We've been waiting a while for this kiss, for this moment, and then suddenly there's a freaking doorway, and the voice says, "The way back will come but once," because guess what? This was the third test.
Oh.
Ah!
How long? How long did you believe it?
I believed it until she got on the hill.
Okay.
Ah.
Rajiv?
And then I was like, okay,
When Len showed up, it confirmed it, but, you know, we're book readers here. We know what's going on.
yeah. I would love to know. Let us know when you watch this how long you believed. Obviously, if you're listening to this episode before you see episode 3,
Then
So
you
what?
can't.
yeah. Darn.
But I guess spoiler alert. I don't know. But we want to know if you're a non-book reader, how far you got before you realized that this was part of the third test.
Oh, I believed it up to the end. I was seriously
Okay.
so in love with the idea of her running away
So
with
you
Lan,
just wanted
and they're
it so
joining
much,
forces.
you manifested it.
Yeah, well, you know, because we are expecting some changes, and so I was like, oh my god, yes, like, let's get this power
Yeah.
duo together right now, and they're gonna kick ass, and then, oh, there's the arch. I was like, god damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, and
if
if
go
we're
ahead.
soliciting some help with from the listeners, if we do know that the horse Bella was played by a number of different horses, so if you have evidence to say
mainly-
this was Bella,
mainly
I'd love to hear
Archie.
it.
For the record,
Oh, okay.
the internet says it was it was Archie.
Okay.
Archie is Bella. Okay, the internet is never wrong.
Well,
Obviously.
I want counter arguments from the internet, but
Okay.
all right.
My
Otherwise,
new puppy.
maybe
My new
you're
puppy's
right.
name is Archie.
Oh, your new
So
puppy
my puppy is Bella.
Is Bella.
That's
Perfect.
hilarious. I
Your
love
puppy
it.
is the creator.
Oh, that's the best thing I've heard.
Yay.
My wife's name is Bella, but okay.
Amazing.
That's just a coincidence.
So after the doorway disappears and you see them, like, Nynaeve has a moment of like, oh, I thought I heard something. Never mind. I'm going to keep kissing you. Mm-hmm. We then go to the like room with the arches, and the three Aes Sedai are like, well, shit. And Leandrin is holding, the jug of water to wash them free, which is interesting because Sheriam did Sheriam do both of the other ones?
Oh, now I don't remember.
Now I'm like questioning who did it. Because I'm pretty sure she did the first.
At any rate, I think it's worth sort of lingering on her reaction there. There's her public reaction, where she's sort of cold and bitter about it, but she made her choice. But then when she's alone, she is genuinely upset.
Yeah.
This wasn't a ploy to destroy Nynaeve or get her out of the way or whatever. She did not want Nynaeve to fail.
No.
In private, she is furious.
Mm-hmm. For the record, in the first test, Leandrin pours the water. The second test, Leanne pours the water.
Okay.
And the third test, Leandrin is ready. But they also have different... like bucket things.
Oh.
The first one is white, and the second one is, I think, like a black, and then the third one is the mix of the black and white. So I think that's an interesting, like artistic choice, shall we say?
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see in the future if we get another accepted test if the same order is the same. So you start with the light, the middle one's the dark, and then the third is the mixture. I think that will be really interesting to see.
So that doesn't map to my notions of past, present, future either. So I don't know whether there's symbolism there.
I don't know, other than 1, 2, 3.
Well, maybe it is something left over from the Age of Legends. Saidar, Saidine, and then the combination makes them Aes Sedai.
Could be.
Oh, maybe.
Could be.
I don't know.
They probably, who knows what the hell they did back then. Probably the arches were not part of the testing, but the jugs might have been.
Yeah. Who knows?
All right, so are we now departing from the testing and going to some of the other arcs?
Yes. Shall we visit the Shanshin?
Let's do it.
When we last left them, this silly lady on a pyramid with the fancy nails came in and basically shut everybody up.
Yeah.
And I thought something really interesting was that Loyal had never read or heard of these people.
Yeah, and he's the scholar. He knows all of the stories, all of the books, loves libraries. So, he doesn't know of these people either. One thing I was gratified to hear, so the woman who speaks on behalf of the noblewoman who is High Lady Surith. Her name is Alwyn, according to the credits. She's a voice. And she's got a little bit of a southern accent. She's got a drawl, which, Robert Jordan imagined that the Shanshan spoke with a Texan accent. So I was really glad to hear that.
Yeah, and I really liked that it was not overt. It wasn't. We didn't get some, Bernard Blanc or
Benoit Blanc.
Benoit.
Yeah.
We didn't get a
He's
Benoit
New Orleans,
Blanc version. It wasn't overt.
Wasn't Yosemite Sam.
Yeah, it wasn't ridiculous. It was very much I am speaking this way, like that nice slow drawl that makes you want to go, okay, would you hurry up and talk a little faster type of a thing, without being, oh, well, clearly this person is from Texas. Because that, I'll admit, I was a little bit concerned about how that would happen. And I think they did an absolute beautiful job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and just the fact that they sounded American, where everyone else kind of sounds British, was very striking.
Yes.
Just that juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Or not even British, but like, you know, Logain has his like Spanish.
Yeah.
Ishmael kind of has the actor that plays Ishi is from Lebanon, was born in Lebanon. Okay. And he kind of has his Middle Eastern kind of like vibe for it.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting, like how carefully they're having the accents hit, because they're not all of them are their natural accents. We know the people from Two Rivers. Madeline Madden is from Down Under. She's not speaking in an Australian accent. Like there's all of these things, and so it's clear that there were specific choices that were made. For this all,
you know, with all of that lovely, you know, accent exposition, we're also getting some information from Alwyn. These people, these invaders who have came, they don't consider themselves to be invaders. They mention Luther Pendrag, and that's, you know, a deep cut into the lore. Not even a deep cut, but it's a cut into the lore of Randland that we can talk about during the books. But they were the rulers of this land. They went across the ocean, and they promised they'd be back, and they're back. And you guys were supposed to, you know, their oaths. They
await and serve, yes, and y'all didn't.
Await and serve. So now you have the opportunity to do that. And if you don't want to do that, well, some bad things happen.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Do you want to talk about that?
Not yet, because very first we see they've split men and women.
That's right.
And the Damani come and point to women in the crowd.
So for folks who haven't read the books, we're going to use the terms just because it's easier to do that. There's Suldam and there are Damani, and we see the women who have what look like ball gags in their mouths or some kind of metal thing in their mouths. Those are the Damani. And then the women who are behind them, who are issuing the orders, are the Suldam. They work together, and the Damani can channel, and the Suldam can control them through some means that are yet to be revealed.
Yes.
So the Damani is going around and is pointing at certain young women and girls.
Yes.
And they're being taken away.
Yep. And obviously very emotional.
Yep.
Because anytime your babies disappear. And
Uno's mad.
Uno's real mad. He's making eye contact, and one of the Shanshin removes her helmet and is like, I'm watching you. I know what's going on. This dude, he's going to be trouble. He's the perfect example. And so when the voice asks who will be first, the Shanshin is like, yo, I got one. This guy.
This guy's going to make the vows.
Yeah, he's going to be the perfect example for this. So they bring Uno up. I love that Uno was able to like grab a dagger and get a stab in and like do a little fighting.
Yep.
And they pull up to the front of the pyramid, and they're like, bend the knee and swear the oaths, and he does the most disgusting
he hucks a
spitting,
loogie at her.
hucking a loogie, and says
cusses
F
at
you.
her.
Yeah, F you and the oaths. And that's okay, because the Shanshin don't care. They take him, and shove his face onto the spike at the front of the pyramid.
It is a worse than a curb stomp, and he is
my gosh.
very dead. You know, he may
Very
have
dead.
he may have
Yeah.
survived Padan Fane's dagger. There is a spike protruding out the back of this guy's head. It was
Yeah.
very sad.
Yeah,
and
it
then-
was emotional.
And the fact that they have this torture device, killing device at the foot of the pyramid, like how often do they use it? I mean,
yeah.
it just
Yeah.
speaks to their like the barbarism of it. Like they expect to have to
They
quell
know.
people this
This
way.
is part of the plan.
Yeah,
This is the
this
process.
was
I mean, just
not.
disgusting.
This was. It was in the script, basically.
Yeah.
They know that there's gonna be somebody that's going to be trouble, and nobody's gonna want to do this because they're like, "Who the heck are you? This is our land. We've lived here for hundreds of years. Screw you." But then they find somebody and they make an example, and suddenly everyone bows.
Yeah,
Including-
except Perrin. He's being an
Well,
idiot
yeah.
for the longest time until Ingtar tells him, just don't.
Our
not
pride
here,
is not worth
now."
more than our life.
Yes.
Yeah, which was amazing. And Perrin makes eye contact with Ishmael. And then finally kneels.
Yeah.
Which says a lot that finally Perrin's like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
He didn't really have a choice, but
No.
yeah. And so this is interesting. This is, everyone then repeats the oath, and the oath is to obey, to await, to serve. And, depending on how it's enforced, it doesn't seem all that onerous. The women taken, we got to find out what's happening with them. We don't find out this episode yet. But, the next time we see, as this sequence continues, Perrin is in a nice carriage. He is in chains, but he's in a nice carriage. And they are going
He's not being dragged behind horses.
Right. And we are going to a place. So Ishmael is in the carriage with him. He's taken a special interest in Perrin, and Ishmael tells him, "Yeah, we're taking you to a place called Falm, and that's where you're going to be set up to serve the Shanchan, serve these people here, and it's." Not an invitation to be envied, but, this is your lot, so get ready. You're going to be going there. He gives him some water, and then he starts making some observations about Perrin that are too close for comfort. So he says, that animal side inside you is calling for blood and setting your eyes on fire. He's interested in that. He wants to see the progress, and then... He kind of reveals himself for who he is, or at least he says, "You know who I am," and then there are these flashbacks to, the man who's been haunting Perrin's dreams in the first
The flames
season.
in the eyes.
Yeah, so he knows
Like
he's someone bad, and he says, "Rand killed you." Oh, is that what Maureen told you? Silly boy.
I know the power.
And then he says something that's completely insidious, especially if you know the books. He says, "The more wolf you are, the more you're mine. I'll be watching you with great interest." So now this little conflict that Perrin has about this wolfy side that Elias is trying to tell him, like, this is you, this is your nature. The Shinarans aren't your pack. The wolves are. But now Ishmael is telling him, yeah, well, the more you embrace that, you're actually turning to the dark. So, I'm looking forward to it. And then sure enough,
that's got to be such a difficult moment because he already wasn't wanting to become wolf-like. He was, Elias was coming in and he's the one that's making him see visions, see things, yada, yada. But the fact that, like, now the Dark One, supposedly, Ishi is like, haha, keep being a wolf because then you're mine. And he's like, oh no, this is not what I want.
Yeah.
No, I really want you to be a wolf. You should totally be a wolf because that wouldn't thwart my plans. So be a wolf, all right? No.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ishamael leaves. Elias comes in. There's blood around his face, like he's just torn out someone's throat with his teeth. And he says, "Come on, let's go." And he says, "What about my friends?" You can't save your friends from the back of a cage. Let's go. Follow that nice wolf over there. That wolf looks so cute.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so adorable.
They're so cute. Happy little puppies.
I know, right?
Such a best puppies.
You know, when you're using real wolves, you can't just tell them, look fierce. No,
Right?
don't look adorable.
I mean, I don't remember where, like, what show it's talking about. It might have been Game of Thrones or something, but they're talking about how they always have to either like strap down the tail or do VR effects because the working dogs are always so happy that their tails are wagging. And so they can't, you can't train a dog to not wag its tail.
Because dogs are good and you just can't represent them as evil.
Dogs are the bestest. Yeah.
So cute.
Yep. They're so sweet. Yeah. So that's the bit of Perrin.
Yeah.
He's running away with the wolves.
And,
Oh, and this also, again, with Ishi talking about Perrin turning into a wolf, goes back to our earlier theme of what is a monster? And is this part of Perrin a monster? And how do we know? How can we tell?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what makes, like, how do you, is this like a double secret message to try and get, like, Ishi does not want Perrin to become a wolf?
Well,
because there's so many layers.
Yeah.
Yes, reverse that is the word that I was trying to think. Thank you. Oh my goodness. That's Perrin and the Wolves and Ishi and the Shanshan. R.I.P. Uno.
I know, right? That's so sad. Yeah, because I don't think he's coming back from this one.
No. Guy Roberts, you're the best.
At that point, I start doubting a lot of the things going on in the show if he comes back.
Also, as we record this past weekend, Guy Roberts directed Romeo and Juliet in Prague with Taylor Napier.
Oh, yes.
Plays
cool.
Maxim, one of Alana's warders. Friend of the show and in the community, Rob from Melchior Talks went.
Oh, cool.
Said it was incredible. So good job, Guy Roberts. I'm so happy that you're part of our fandom. You're so kind and amazing and so like welcoming for the Wheel of Time community in your fandom. And so I'm very sad that unless you come back and, flashbacks or something.
You're a hero you're a hero bound to the horn now.
Yeah, I doubt that, but
maybe the Damani heals him.
Right. I'm sure that's definitely what's going to happen. We'll keep it in our hearts, Guy. Yes. We hope you can return.
And
maybe you come back as like
a
Uno's
badass, so
evil twin. But yes, way to get, take out some of the Shanshan. You got a couple stabs in before you got stabbed.
Oh my God, what if he came back but his eye patch was on the other side?
On the other side. Oh my gosh, I love it. Brilliant.
Okay.
All right.
Let's
get that to Rafe. Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. So speaking of Heroes of the Horn, shall we hang out in Carrion?
Yeah, let's go there. Carrion.
Carrion. There we go. I always think of like the dead animals when
Carrion?
I
Carrion.
hear
Yeah.
Carrion. Yeah.
A carrion crawler. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
anyways. Well, here's Rand. We know his name.
Yeah.
He's hanging out. He's visiting Logain, who is absolutely phenomenal. In
Logain's
the
looking a
scenes
lot
with
more
him.
confident. He thinks he has a measure of control now, and he taunts Rand about his red roots. Like everybody apparently is taunting him about his red roots.
Right.
So you're not going to hide that you're not Aiel, or at least
can't
you
hide
look like
what
an
you really
Aielman.
are.
Whatever that is. Oh no, we did learn last season what that
Yes,
is.
yes,
Okay.
we did. And we also, Logain knows who Rand is because apparently a man who can channel glows, and yours was brighter than anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah. And that's why he laughed in that.
That's
in
why
that
he
scene.
laughed.
It was great because that scene in season 1 where Logain is being brought through in a cage and he looks up at the balcony and he starts laughing. The way they had staged that or cut that scene, they made it seem like he was looking at Matt because at that point Matt was the focus of the suspicions. Is he the dragon? Is he doing something weird or whatever?
Nefarious.
Yeah. And so, there was a little fake out there that has been corrected in season 2 where we learned that he was actually looking at Rand. He saw this glow. He saw Rand's power. And he said, "You Aes Sedai don't know what you're going to be reckoning with. This guy is going to shake the world."
Yeah, I loved it. And Rand is just like, "Dude, I want to know how to control this." And Logan is just like, "Bring me my wine."
I love it. And I will say this, as I was rewatching, I was drinking a nice bottle of Pinot Noir in Oregon while I'm at Valley, and all I could think
That's
of
my
then
area.
is, wonderful. I need you to send me some wine. But anyway, yeah. So Logain is pining for some the wine of his homeland, the red from Gildan, and I really want to taste one of those. I want Randland tasting notes now, but
oh my goodness, that would be amazing if we could.
That'll be a side project on Dragonmount.com. Okay.
Yes. Okay. You know what? I bet it's probably a Pinot Noir. Honestly,
That'd be awesome.
because even though that is like the main wine you can get up here in Oregon and in Washington too, because of the grapes and they grow the best up here.
It's a Bordeaux or Burgundy climate, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if actually, it might be like a Burgundy or something else, but a Pinot Noir would make it actually plausible that it could be a wine that is transported easily and well across the way, and then different what's it called, vintages in different areas. I could see how it could be a really popular / famous expensive wine.
Well, we need more info on this, and I'm gonna freeze frame and look at how dark it is, and we'll see all of that. I was someone who nerded out and tried to write a fan fiction about a wine buyer in the Song of Ice and Fire universe.
Oh my goodness!
And I tried to figure out what all of the wines they mentioned, what their analogs might be. But
oh wow!
Yeah. That's a project for a different time.
Yeah. Do that in the Wheel of Time, please. And thank you.
That would be really cute.
All right, and so he demands this before revealing any information. So now we have a video game side quest. In order to get this information, you've got to go to this other place.
You have to
and get some...
bring me 3 cockroaches and a rat, or a really expensive bottle of wine.
Right,
but Rand does it. He doesn't know how to do anything. He had the upper hand. Logan's locked in a sanatorium. He could have easily handled it in a different way, but he's like, okay, sure.
I know.
You just revealed all your cards, Rand. This is not how we play the game.
He's single-minded about this. But you know what? Logain does recognize that it probably took you a while to worm your way into this level of access where you have access with me. And so, now you have access. This is what I'm asking for. And then I'll help you.
Well, especially because supposedly the other orderly brought him wine and brought him a Gildean Red.
Sure.
I mean,
although that is apparently a type of wine that you don't get in the kind of four gates wine cellars. So otherwise, Celine might have had her own bottles. She had a whole selection there, but she said, you know what? So he goes to her. He's looking through her wine stash. And,
on the way out, though, too, you see these people getting branded.
Yeah, what was that about? Did you catch that?
Thing? That it was a horn.
Yeah, so they're hunters for the horn.
Are they hunters for the horn? Is that the
you
branding?
sign up for the Great Hunt of the Horn, Hunt for the Horn, and in order to become a valid hunter, I guess you get frickin' branded, which I don't know a whole lot about cults, but I know a fairly significant amount, and I think branding is not a good sign. Just putting that out there. If someone is asked to brand you, tattoos, on the other hand, totally fine. Get a tattoo, sure, but a brand, that's totally different.
Do you have tattoos, Kathy?
I do. I have 4, and in fact, I have one still healing. That's about a week and a half old.
Oh, nice.
Celine is watching all of this line, laughing. We have the what is the cloak with the patches?
A Gleeman.
Gleeman's cloak.
Why?
Yeah.
I could not, for the life of me, remember what they were called. Gleeman. I'm sitting here, in my notes, I'm like, tinker is the only word I can think of, and I know that's not it. But you have a Gleeman who is telling the story of the Great Hunt.
So a little bit of exposition there, and I shed a single, but only a single teardrop that it wasn't Thom doing it.
I know.
But I guess that would derail what was going on too much. If hey, I know that guy.
Especially because Rand knows Thom Merrilin. If it had been Perrin that saw the Gleeman, then it would have worked because Perrin wasn't there.
Yep.
But it had to be a different Gleeman, which is fine because Thom didn't really have a patched cloak, right?
No, he did. He totally did. And he flourished
put it on
at every moment he could.
Yeah. Anyway, he has this Gleeman has his moment.
Yeah. That's
specifically
good.
For the Great Hunt. And here's Rand, who doesn't know what the heck the Horn of Valir is for, which is hilarious to me that nobody knew what it is. But it apparently, if you find the horn, the heroes of old will come and help. In the city,
Carrion.
Carrion, the queen will give half of her fortune to anybody that finds it, which is why they're signing up.
But
because
don't they know what the horn does? Isn't Rand just pretending to be stupid?
I don't think
Rand wasn't there when all of that exposition happened.
Oh, because he was
already off at the eye of the world.
Oh, okay. So he wasn't there.
So he doesn't know.
But still, the stories, he's got to know.
You would think, but unless, he didn't, whatever stories they told, maybe didn't have.
Yes.
Maureen, he actually knew, but he knew that the audience might not know or might need a reminder. So he just kind of played dumb so we could get some exposition.
But
I'm
also, he wanted to tease Celine to, hey, teach me. But also, he needs something from Celine. He needs help finding that wine. Before they leave, Celine tells the bartender, free drink first drink is free for Hunters of the Horn, but then charge them double when they start buying for their friends. And
That's right.
she is a money maker.
She knows the score.
And they're off to find Rand a better coat.
So this is cool. So now, somehow she's got the money, I guess, to get him some really nice
the
threads.
connections.
Or the connections. And his threads are looking a lot like the, later books covers where Rand is strutting around in a fancy coat, proclaiming himself the Dragon Reborn. And she likes that look on him. She likes the look of power on him. Mm-hmm. And they go to a party. They go to a noble party. Yeah.
Major Versailles vibes, Marie Antoinette vibes, which is very much the description in the books of this country. Is they're short people, shorter on the shorter side, and so their hair tends to be very extravagant and very tall. Yes. And so always imagined kind of hair like Marie Antoinette. And they nailed it because it was definitely not recreating anything of Marie Antoinette, but still had those vibes, which I find, once again, just a great balance. The same thing with the accents, the same thing with, like the architecture and everything. You know that this is a different city. Yeah. You know that these people are different royalty, and nailed it.
You nailed it with describing it as Versailles, too, because, the males as well, the men were French noblemen.
Yes.
Very clearly. And we meet two named nobles, two ladies, Lady Delane, who offers an invitation to both Rand and Selene, thinking they're outland lords, and then another lady, Olver, who is kind of sidling up to him and saying, you're going to cause quite a stir if you with Lady Delane, so what are you going to do? Are you going to accept her invitation, or are you going to say no? And Rand just tosses it into the fire and says, ooh, that's going to cause a stir, too. So, whatever you do is going to be read by this group. So everything is gossiping and scheming and politicking, and the interpretations in whatever you do are going to have ripple effects. And then, Selene tells Rand all this, and Rand, being the oaf that he is, says, so is that why you decided to, get with me? And she's like, oh, God.
Come on,
just
Rand.
take it, Rand. Just don't ruin it. For me, don't ruin it. No, okay.
You're going to miss the fireworks.
Yes. But of course, Selene makes good on her promise. She finds this apparently expensive bottle of Gilded Red, and Rand pouts and then runs off and decides to watch the fireworks with Logain.
Yeah,
who
literally runs. He had to have run because he comes in and he's exhausted and like panting and like.
Yeah. Well, and so what is this? He thinks he's gonna learn how to control the one power. He thinks, okay, I've met this guy. He's done it before. He's been there. He would have risen high if he wasn't caught by the Aes Sedai. This guy can help me. Mm-hmm. It was just at the price of a bottle of wine. I don't care about this hot girl that I'm with. I'm gonna get him this wine, and I'm gonna learn how to survive the one power. Mm-hmm. And Logain is a total ass, and I was wondering about this wine and this guy to illustrate the point that you can't stop the power. It's gonna fill you up. It's gonna overflow. And he pours the wine in the cup, and the cup overflows. He's wasting this damn good wine.
Pouring it.
Oh, made me so angry.
Well, and he's doing it to make a point
Yeah.
that I know what you're going to ask, and surprise.
Guess what? You can't control
You
it.
can't
There is no
control
answer.
it. Yeah.
And Logain then says, I'm the Dragon Reborn. I hear Luz Theron's voice in my head. And, at first, Logain is trying to intimidate Rand and is like, Rand is mad. And meaning, well, I don't think he's crazy yet, but he's angry. And
angry,
he pushes right back. And, he basically says, no, you're not. You've got nothing. Yeah. And you're useless to me. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And
You're sick.
Yeah, you're sick. So Logain has lost his leverage. He has spilled his wine. Damn him. And now he doesn't have anything left.
Oh,
So
poor Logain. I just want to squeeze him.
yeah. But speaking of squeezing, he goes back to the inn, and Selene is waiting there, and
angry.
Yeah, she's angry. She says, "I will kill you if you ever leave me like that again." And then they have angry sex
Again.
So, and he's about to take off his fancy nobleman coat, and she said, "No, leave it on."
Leave it on.
So she likes him like that. But then, did that really happen? Because Rand then wakes up and he's alone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think Selene stays the night.
Yeah. Good.
She has her own, she takes her
she's got work to do.
payment.
She's got a business to run.
Yeah.
But while they are in flagrante, Rand starts to channel, and the weaves are wrapping around him. And women who can't channel, or women at all, aren't supposed to be able to see the weaves. But, Selene looks delighted at the whole thing.
I think she can sense it
Yeah.
based on his attitude and his hesitancy, because he doesn't want to channel. And so she's like, let it go. I'm not afraid of you.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't think she's quite tipping her hat that she knows that he's channeling.
Anything.
If she does know. But then sure enough, he wakes up on his own after whatever. He's in bed and he's still channeling. And then he lights the inn on fire.
Yep.
And Selene comes in, concerned, confused, tries to get him out of there, manages to do that. She doesn't seem to know what he's done. But, they watch the inn burn down.
Yeah.
And
and the areas around it, destruction
yeah,
is happening.
Yeah. And that's
our
the
Rand.
end of that's the end of the Carrion and Rand and Selene segment.
Yes. Well, let's head back to the White Tower, shall we?
Yeah. A lot of things going on there. Wow.
A lot of things going on in the White Tower.
There's a lot of things happening in this episode. My goodness.
Yeah, I know, which is so funny because when I first started watching it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot, these parts, and the second test is going almost halfway through, and then all of a sudden, bam, 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 bam. Like everything else is happening, and then more with Nynaeve, and it's like, oh, wow, okay, cool.
So we are now back in the White Tower, and now we're in Egwene's point of view, and she has just learned. She is knocking on Nynaeve's door.
Well, very first, she's got a hangover.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because Elaine is brewmaster. Yeah.
Yes.
And Elaine doesn't have a problem with that. She's apparently, and she says, "Well, I thought you innkeepers knew how to hold your liquor." But no, it's the Two Rivers. It's not Camelin Lady.
Right. And she's a good girl.
Yeah.
Right. But they knock on Nynaeve's door, or Egwene knocks on Nynaeve's door, and instead finds Shuriam cleaning up. And Shuriam's very matter-of-fact about it, says, Nynaeve went through the Arches last night, and she never came out. And, take the time you need, but get over it, because an Aes Sedai needs to stand on her own. She's not a particularly empathetic or, soft mistress of novices, she says.
No, which, let's be honest, you can't be. There's so much trouble going on. Like, with you have to be such a powerful, level to handle these girls and make sure that they know what's going on. That you just gotta, deal with it.
And of course, Egwene is devastated, and Elaine, is trying to comfort her. But Egwene
isn't really at all.
Just pushes her away, says, "Get out." She's.
I don't even know you. I don't even want you here.
Yeah.
Oh, and then just curls up Nynaeve's belt in her arms, cuddling it deeply, and just heart-wrenching sobs. So sad.
Yeah. And then Egwene is not the only person who is kind of reeling from that loss. Leandrin comes in to Matt's cell
while Matt is sleeping.
And is this where he asks her if she's watching him sleep, or?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, but she's having none of it. She's
having an emotional moment because she lost a sister, someone that was powerful, and she believed in her.
Yeah. Doesn't name her, which is interesting, because that would really twist the knife with Matt. But, maybe she's keeping that in reserve. And then she really lays into Matt. First of all, she just opens the door and says, "Just leave. Go. I'm done with you.
Get out of here.
You were Maureen's project, and you distracted me, so I don't give a damn anymore." Yeah.
And Matt, of course, is like, "You're just done with me? After 5 months of questions and games, you're just done with me?"
Which is a reasonable question.
Right. Because Leandrin has come in and played all of these games with him.
So now he doesn't trust what's going on. And that's when Leandrin really turns every screw she knows about Matt. She says, you claim to, be so concerned about your friends. You left your friends. You abandoned them. You were worthless.
You do it again.
You'll do it again.
Yeah.
You do not matter, and you were the one responsible for the loss of this woman.
Yeah, it's your fault.
So get out. I don't care what you do. I just don't want to have to deal with you anymore.
And the emotion on Matt's face when Leandrin leaves is just crushing.
Because she did hit on a truth there, that he did abandon his friends. And, she even taunts him. Egwene's, is distraught. She doesn't connect with Nynaeve's loss, but she says Egwene needs comforting, but you probably won't even do that. So go to her, or you probably won't. So whatever.
Whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
And we see the scene from the trailer of Leandrin around the fire ring of fire, the ever burning flame, eternal flame, whatever. This moment that they pull the gold out for the Aes Sedai rings, and is dropping Egwene's ring in there, and is actually, looking fairly emotional.
She is mourning. She is ceremonially saying Nynaeve's name as she puts the ring into the fire. This is an emotional moment of loss for Leandrin, which kind of astounds me. But
and especially because she was doing it before Egwene showed up.
Nah, I don't believe it.
Really?
Nope.
Golly, you've got nothing.
Nope.
Nothing for her. Well, I believed it, which is fine.
See, both of us would be taken in by Leandrin.
Oh yeah,
not Maureen.
Listen,
though.
totally would.
We'd have to rely on Maureen to save us.
Leandrin could tell me to do anything, man. I would do anything for Kate Fleetwood.
Fair enough.
preaching that here.
Yeah.
But she's basically taunting Egwene, like, come to pay your respects. And Egwene is so angry and manages to channel some fire in a doorway. Leandrin just kind of waves and it disappears, though, and stalks back, like, angry at Egwene. Like, I'm so disappointed in you. You know, Nynaeve was super powerful, and you were the one that obeyed the rules. I don't know what to do with you. Like, I can't do anything with you.
And then
to me.
she gives this other thing about, well, you know, sometimes it's not the strongest who make history.
Yeah,
it's the ones who survive.
I wrote this down. It's not always the most powerful women who write history. It's the one who survived. Remember your place, and you just might.
Yeah. But what's cool is so Egwene did toss fire and got dispelled, but you know she showed herself she was something to be reckoned with. And Leandrin backed her to the edge of the non-existent balcony there in the tower. Why don't they have railings? I have the same complaint with Star Wars. Like, why are there all these platforms that just overlook a
there
business?
is no OSHA department. They don't need to worry about getting sued.
See,
it's
that's
fine.
Anyway,
just don't fall off the edge.
That's
Duh.
right. It's a test. It's a test.
Yeah.
Are you aware of your surroundings? But, you know, Egwene is backed up, but then she does stand back up against Leandrin and says, you don't know what I'm capable of. Yeah. And so she's got some backbone. She's got some fire.
And still takes the time to grieve in one of the gardens in the yard, which we see because Matt finally decides to leave.
And he's
down the stairs.
almost gonna go up to her. And then
he leaves right as Egwene starts to look up, sense somebody was watching or whatever.
That was so sad.
Oh my god!
My heart.
Well, he totally believes Leandrin's assessment of him.
Yep.
And so, you know, I'm worthless. I abandoned my friends. I better just get out. And you know, his new friend Min has stolen a couple of horses and is ready to leave. So Matt puts on his cocky grin and says, "Hey, I'm going to join you." All right.
Yeah. And for the record, I don't know if that was Bella. just
We'll have to check.
You know what? Everyone was asking.
We'll do a special horse episode where we analyze the markings. I'll get my daughter. She's the horse expert.
Perfect. Yes. Okay. So I just, for the record, because I know y'all are wondering, there are no white socks on the smaller brown horse that they're saddling up. So
this is an unnamed horse.
Yes.
Okay.
Still not Bella.
Okay.
Possibly.
This is Bella Watch.
Yeah.
Yes, Bella Watch 2023.
And so he's ready. He's ready to leave with Min, and Min just says, give me a second. I'm going to duck out, get some flatbread.
I need to grab one more thing.
Yep. And she goes into the place where there is flatbread, and there is also Leandrin.
Yeah.
And now we have connected our little observation of Min sitting in and eavesdropping on the Aes Sedai meeting 2 episodes ago,
happening
all the
to
way
be
to now.
in the side in another
cell.
Cell next door.
Yeah.
And whatever is going to happen, Leandrin says, remember, if you succeed, Maureen will not have anything hanging over either of us ever again.
Right. So that's the leverage. Maureen knows about Min's viewing abilities. And apparently that was enough of a problem that Leandrin could use that as leverage. Now, where she is... Leandrin asks Min, you know the way, right? So they're supposed to be leading, or Min is supposed to be leading Matt somewhere. we don't know
which
where
is fine
yet.
because Matt doesn't know where he wants to go.
He doesn't
obviously.
know. He'll go anywhere. Yeah. Let's if we can speculate. We know that Perrin and his group are going to Tomenhead and Erfalm, and we know that there are some prophecies associated with that. I don't think Rand has a reason to go in that direction yet, but
we'll see. They'll
we'll
probably
see.
connect together again
I
at
mean,
some point.
I think this journey might be the way to bring all of the threads together.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And so that's the last that we see of Matt and Min, but Egwene is back. She's in the area with the arches. How did she find it? I don't know. Who knows? It's somewhere deep in the bottom of the tower. I'm sure she, talked to somebody, and somebody would definitely tell her.
They chat
maybe a
about
map, a little signpost, something to find it. And she's trying to channel, and so she's actively channeling, but she's trying to make it work, but it keeps failing, even though it gets charged up pretty well. Which is impressive. But Elaine comes and is like, you're not the first one to try. Like, stop this. You're going to burn yourself out. Like, you're going to get expelled. Like, all of these things.
She enumerates the scenarios that could happen. Like, the best case, you're going to get caught and sent away. The worst case is you're going to kill yourself by dealing with things that you don't understand.
Yeah, and then, do you really think Nynaeve would want you to throw away your life, your future, because she's gone? And, uses that. And then the sweetest thing, is let's get blankets, we'll stay the night. So instead of trying to get her to leave, is look, I accept that this is emotional for you. Let's grieve together. Yeah. I am going to go get blankets. I'm going to sit with you.
I am really impressed with Elaine, how she's behaving here. She gets kicked repeatedly, and she's a princess. She's the daughter heir. She doesn't have to take anything, but she's persistent, and she is genuinely interested in having a friend and being a friend.
And that's what it's so beautifully written, beautifully performed, all of this level of I know all of this information, and I don't want you to die, and I don't want you to break the rules, and I don't want you to, all of this stuff, but I'm still going to be a friend for you and get you, give you the comfort, even though I don't want you to die. This balance, the level, it's just perfection.
Yeah.
They gave her what she needs, but in the safest way.
Now they bed down.
Yes.
Now they bed down in the room, and they're going to wait to see if the gateway opens again. Yeah, see what happens.
Yeah. And then we get some happy music. It's so sweet. Nynaeve is walking. She's got her basket, and here comes this little girl running around the corner, chased by Uncle Perrin. I loved all of the discussion because, of course, this scene of Perrin chasing a little girl is from the trailer, and all of the conversations about that, speculation, what the heck is going on? Who is this? I love that they filmed it this way. I love that they put that, get these Wheel of Time nerds, speculating and talking about what's going to happen. And then still being surprised, which is fantastic.
Yep.
This little girl was phenomenal. Perrin got her a stick, and she's going to be like, oh, let's have, Daddy teach you. And then you hear a horse coming, also not Bella. And
Thank you.
Here comes Matt.
Let's just assume that now.
Yeah. Here comes Matt with a fancy coat. And he's being the sweetest Uncle Matt.
Oh my gosh.
My lady, I did not realize we had a blade master in the Two Rivers. It's me. That is such, I have a kid, and growing up, that is exactly what my child's Uncle Matt did to them is playing, you are obviously, a mighty fighting princess with the nunchucks that you have. Like, it just, I loved it.
Although I have to admit, I was a little bit thrown, and I didn't know if it was deliberate or not, but there was a little bit of ambiguity about whose father the child was. I felt like at first, really? Oh wait, is it Perrin? No. Okay. And then Rand comes back or not Rand, Matt comes in, and I say, wait, what is this interaction? He's Neil. Is he the dad? Mm-hmm. No. Okay. And then they say, Matt hands Nynaeve a letter, and then she says, okay, let's go help your father.
How about we see if your father needs any help with the honey cakes?
So Len's a baker now.
Cooking, doing dishes.
His hair isn't bound.
God, he's a perfect man.
He's a house husband.
Yeah, his hair is long. This is the moment. This is the scene. One of them that Daniel Henney was referencing about long hair. That he was worried about what people would think in our interview with him. And then, of course, in the future as well. In next episode, spoiler for Lan's hair. But this is one of those bits of the hair being down, his casual look, because he doesn't need to worry about, keeping his hair out of his face. Nobody's going to attack, because Egwene, this letter from Egwene says they're heading north. Egwene and the other Greens are heading north because the Trollocs are attacking Chaldea. And do you regret leaving the tower? Well, who knows, because the Trollocs are attacking.
Yeah.
and we're replaying the first
winter
test.
night. We're doing both the first test and winter night
in the first episode.
Season. Yeah.
Yep. Because here Nynaeve is putting her daughter down in the cellar. And she grabs an axe, and there's a Trolloc there, and then there's a Trolloc out on the porch eating somebody. Yep. We find out it's Matt. Perrin gets an axe through the chest. Lan gets stabbed. Trollocs are yelling.
And that's how you know it's not real.
Yeah, that's how
Lan gets stabbed.
If there was any doubt.
Yeah. And she's yelling back, basically, and this explosion of grief and earth just, spans out from her. But Lan is still dead. Yeah.
So she kills off the Trollocs, and it's important to note that even though the Aes Sedai thought that you can't channel in the world beyond the Archis, Nynaeve can channel. And she does so, and she does so to devastating effect.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that this is why the Archway came. Nynaeve grabs her daughter and sees the archway, and now that there's nothing left for her except for her baby, she's going to run with her child through the archway, and she falls through, and absolutely emotionally distraught, especially when she sees that her arms are empty.
Yeah, oh my God, that was heartbreaking.
So heartbreaking, especially because in this test, she was pregnant, gave birth, raised this child for how many years?
Yeah.
Years and years with this baby. Yeah. And then you do anything, and you would do anything for your children. And Egwene wakes up and just goes and holds Nynaeve and is just calming her down. It's all right. I'm here. The only things that she can do with her friend. And that's the end of the episode.
That's the end of the episode.
That's such a fantastic ending. So freaking fantastic.
I wondered if we were going to get to see Nynaeve escape the Archers, because it could have easily been that was, the the breaking point of the third episode was, Nynaeve it stays.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't was very particular and very specific. And I thought it was like just beautifully done.
I'm very glad that they bookended
Yes.
this episode with the completion of Nynaeve's test, and that they didn't leave it as like a sort of cheap
Cliffhanger.
oh, she's gone. She's gone. Wait, she's back. I'm glad that it was contained within this one episode, and we saw that as an arc. It was more emotional that way. We understood what was going on, and now we understand, just what she's had to give up to return to the tower.
Especially because this is the third episode of that drop. So this is the end of the episodes that people are going to watch in that first, snippet. They're going to spend the 3 hours, watching this back to back to back, I'm sure.
Of course.
And I got emotional, which is why most of this episode I didn't remember other than the Nynaeve
Focused
stuff.
on the, on
because
the
that was, the emotional heart, with the exception of Uno dying. That was so, because I watched these in June, I was mean and teased the Dragonmount people of like, oh my gosh, episode
totally
3,
were.
you guys. Y'all, everyone is going to be emotional about it because Uno dies. And man, that was, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Oh,
So did Nynaeve's channeling fuel the arches, and that's what brought it back to life?
Let's talk about that in the book thing, because I think there's some stuff we can
pass around.
we can leverage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I think
give us the spoiler warning then.
Yeah, spoiler warning, just so you know, feel free to skip to the end where we will say our goodbyes or, move on to the next episode of whatever you're listening to, which is also acceptable. But from this point on, we will be spoiling the books. We will it'll be all of the books. There's a lot to talk about in this episode that relates to the books. If you have read them or have no interest in reading the books, that's cool too. We are more than happy. You do you, boo boo. But either way, this is the mark of the spoiler horn to let you know we will be spoiling.
All right. So let's kind of take it in sequence. I think when we first enter the Terangriel and we get an explanation.
Actually, real quick, there's something that I forgot to mention last episode, that I went to bed after we recorded and I swore terribly to myself because I can't believe we didn't talk about this. So real quick, last episode, Lan and Maureen are talking about how many people it takes to shield. It takes 8 Aes Sedai to shield someone, not 13, which is added bonus information on why I think that there is only going to be 8 Forsaken.
8 Forsaken.
8 is the magic number.
Okay.
So
8 is the new 13.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can see that.
And once this is proven to us, stay tuned to our socials when founder of Dragonmount, Jason Denzel, when I win this bet, he is required to do his kung fu magic, whatever, in a video that will live forever on our social media. So, once again, Kathy was right. We don't have actual proof yet, but it's definitely going to be that.
I am 100% convinced.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. Anyways, now we can continue
Go
back
on.
onto this episode.
So let's talk about that testing arch, the Terangriel.
Yes.
And there is some exposition that they are from a time when Aes Sedai could create objects from the One Power itself. And I was already thinking, once in the previous episode that we saw, Elaine was revealed as a tinkerer, a maker. She brews beer, but she always likes to make things, experiment with things. I I think this line is also lending credence to the idea that Elaine's talent for making ter'angreal is going to come to fruition in this series. And I'm really excited to see how they'll do it.
Yeah, there's too many things dropped for it not to be something that's going to happen. Because I think you're really, like, you're laying this foreshadowing down in a way that is, you know, delicate unless you know what's going on, which is just beautifully done, and I love it. Yeah. And I want to throw in another piece of foreshadowing that I saw.
Yeah.
Y'all see that Matt lost an eye?
I did see that, yes.
The test? Yeah.
I did not even notice that.
What could happen in the future?
Half the light of the world.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was really neat.
That's really interesting because, we're in book spoiler territory. One of the things that Elaine creates that turns out to be a pivotal object is a copy of a ter'angreal that Matt acquires that basically negates the one power. You channel at him and it's going to absorb it. And you can't do that. So, but that plot line is tied to something that I really don't know if they're going to put into the show, which is the land of the Aelfin and the Eelfin.
Yeah, it might be a little bit too complex.
I think they're going to do something with it. They are going to have something. I don't know if they'll do Slayer and that whole plot line because let's be honest, I'm still confused and I've read the books so many times. Yeah. I know maybe it's Lan's uncle and someone else, but like who that's, it doesn't matter. It literally makes no difference. Slayer can disappear and nobody would care.
Yeah.
But the idea of the world of dreams, the wolf dream, this alternate reality worlds, the Aelfin and the Eelfin, I think maybe there'll be a combination, like they'll combine them, the snake and foxes.
Okay.
Specifically, we haven't seen anything with the game. Snakes and foxes have not shown up unless it was in the background of the inn or like the opening in season 1.
Padanfane's wagon had a pattern that some cloth hangings that suggested it.
Okay, so like there's hints of it, so it might be something.
Yeah.
But I think that world is going to do like something is going to happen with a dream like world, and that is where Matt is going to get his Ashendari. He's going to lose his eye. He's going to get the medallion necklace magic thing. I don't know if Maureen is going to be held captive there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because she's already basically been limited in her channeling. That was
so that kind of took care of
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and then we also are we going to have the questions?
Right.
I hope so.
Because
so what we're talking about, if people haven't read the books but are still, interested in
hanging out with us
here, is there are segments, and frankly, they're one of my favorite segments in the books where, and they're mainly centered on Matt, where he goes to this alternate universe, and it's got imagery from Lovecraft's Dreams in the Witch House, just like weird physics sort of things. And there are these fae folk. They're inspired by Unseelie Court fairies. Some of them look like humans that kind of resemble snakes and humans that kind of resemble foxes. And one of the species, they will answer questions three questions truthfully, but do it in sort of this prophetic kind of poetic,
just like a genie.
Yeah.
You know how it goes, or a sphinx. Like the answer that you hear is not the answer.
You still have to puzzle it out.
Yeah.
And then the other people, they grant wishes, basically. And Matt gains these 3 items from that. Actually, he gets a little more than that. He gets his memories filled in, memories that were eaten away by the dagger. And he becomes this master general because he has all of these memories of every battle lord ever to have lived. So, kind of the question is the idea of Elaine creating terangrials, does that foreshadow all of this stuff coming down? And I don't know. I don't know if there's enough room for that, but I'd love it if there was.
I know.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, so I hope they keep it in.
Yeah.
Or some variation of it.
Oh, yes.
That's something that I think, again, so much has changed if you look at just the specifics. Mm-hmm. And yet this show feels right. Mm-hmm. It feels like the Wheel of Time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These characters are doing different things, and yet you can see the essence of the books. And I think it's important to remember, like, yes, we have, it's not a perfect show. Mm-hmm. It's not like there's things that are changed. There's whatever that's going on. You might not like things. You might not, like whatever. I think it's important to recognize that this still can feel right, mm-hmm. or at least not be a ball of shit like so many people are saying. Which, whatever. Again, we are not in the pocket of big Amazon. These are all our own opinions. We is it perfect? No.
Yeah.
Is it getting better? Yes. I think there's a lot to be said for the growth between season 1 and season 2. Mm-hmm. Just like Game of Thrones. Like the growth in the costuming and hair in season 1 of Game of Thrones to the end of Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. Like it's like 2 different shows. It's incredible.
Indeed.
Oh, so can we jump into... Sorry, can we jump into Nynaeve's testing then?
Let's do it.
I think that it's interesting that in the show, her first one is her as a child. But in the book, it was her in a maze with Agenor, right? Was it Agenor, the Forsaken?
Right.
And I was like, where the hell did this come from? What the fuck does this mean? And so the one in the show made much more sense. So much more sense. Yes, I loved it.
So much more sense. Well, oh my gosh. Like, it was... in the books, like, come on, Robert, buddy, Bobby J, what the heck were you thinking?
I'm gonna defend it just because it was there. Okay. But and the reason is, so we didn't have this backstory about Nynaeve being an orphan and bandits killing her parents and things like that. What we did have to talk about Nynaeve's trauma was the thing that happened at the end of The Eye of the World, where, there was this incredibly creepy, incredibly powerful, lecherous guy who was tormenting Nynaeve and terrorizing her. And so, that past trauma event was something that happened in the book. I think this was better thematically, as something that roots in Nynaeve's pain, and they had established it. But it was a situation that traumatized Nynaeve before and showed her as weak, put her in a position where she was weak, which is one of her sort of pride and shame points. So, those both made sense to me in their own contexts.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I don't agree.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. That's all right.
Listen, we know you are you are our logic person. You would not be, a slave to Leandrin's cheekbones.
Yeah,
but,
no.
It's fine.
Definitely not. Because if the 3 arches represent what was, what is, and what will be, it doesn't seem like that fits in with the timeline of what was. I mean, it just seems like it's too
Too recent.
recent, and then the what is
In the books.
seems like it would have been what was. Those would have to be flip-flopped for that to make sense logically.
I don't think in the books that it actually is meant to be past, present, future.
I think it's like fear of being powerless, fear of
each
not
thing
even
is
fear,
like
but then
specific
pride,
fears.
and then this thing that you want but haven't earned.
No, I think they say the first is
Lamb.
for what was. The way will come but once. Be steadfast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're right.
It's true, but
actually,
that was in her past. The Agenor thing was in Nynaeve's past. It was the recent past, but it was still in the past. We just didn't have a backstory that extended to Nynaeve's childhood.
So Robert Jordan couldn't have thought of an event from Nynaeve's childhood that was traumatic for her to
just decided
delve
not
into.
to.
Definitely
Maureen.
not. Yep. He couldn't think that far. It was really difficult.
All right.
He had an event and he used it.
Yep.
It wasn't the one you wanted.
He already wrote something.
But he did.
Okay. What more do you want?
I think there's another. You raised the question, and it's a good question to explore. So, the way comes only once, according to the Aes Sedai, and the way back came and went for Nynaeve, and then she was in this other world, and then in the books, she channeled explicitly to open her own way back. In this, she channeled to kill Trollocs. I didn't get the sense that she channeled to open a gateway again.
No.
The gateway just appeared.
Yeah.
And then, one of the things we could interpret is that what Egwene did? Or I think there's a different set of rules that govern this.
Well, so don't forget, Nynaeve sees a weave once and is able to recreate it without thinking. So but also like the very first time that she channeled and, fixed time, like walked back time and saved everybody. That just came from, her soul or whatever.
Yeah.
Like she had never seen any of that happen.
It was just an outpouring of her power because of her devastation.
Right.
Okay,
And this
so
was
you think
almost
her
identical.
channeling opened that gateway.
I do.
Yeah.
Because also, the first gateway that you see when she's making out with Lan didn't solidify all the way either.
Right.
In the past, in the other two, it was like a gateway, but it didn't get all the way there. And so I wonder if because that gateway did not like fully exist in the world, she could then, by using her raw power and the knowledge of the weave that is done to make it with the emotions, her body channeling magic, whatever, willed it into existence.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm gonna propose an alternate
Okay.
thing. So the gateway is governed by spirit, and we are in a world of spirit in a way. This is all being concocted through memory and through emotion, fears, prides, all of that kind of stuff. And the tipping point seemed to be that Nynaeve had it all in the other world. She had her family, she had her, close friends who were supporting her family. She was back in the Two Rivers until it all went to hell. And everything but her daughter was taken away from her. And her daughter was still, in terms of our story, her daughter was a potential existence. But when Lan and Perrin and Matt were killed, that diminished this dream world so much that it was no longer the world she would choose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And suddenly the real world became more attractive. Now, the way the Aes Sedai use it is they want you to say that being an initiate of the tower is the most important thing, the thing that you want more than anything else. And so, yes, you go through these arches and you reject every other temptation that is offered to you. In this one, though, Nynaeve lived a life, essentially. Yeah. And it was the opportunity to return to the real world didn't fully materialize until she had a reason to leave it. She had a different choice that she would make.
Okay.
So I think this is just like, what is your better world? What is your ideal life? And this one wasn't it. You thought it was, but and these arches are interesting enough. You know, they function in a way that they will let you play out an alternate reality and then take you back when that's not where you want to live.
Mm-hmm. So does that mean that other past accepted or novices will come back at some point?
I think only if it turns into, if their world turns into something that they can no longer tolerate.
I don't think so. I think the only reason that Nynaeve came back is because she had the raw power to be able to make it happen. Because don't forget, when novices go in here, they don't actually know the weave that is done to make the arches. So there's no way that they could do it. Yeah. Nynaeve got through because of her power, the fact that she could make a gateway thing that took 3 Aes Sedai to make.
What would have made it explicit to me is if, everyone was dead, her daughter was in her arms, the Trollocs were coming, and she said no, and then you could see her channel, and then the gateway materializes.
Yeah, but I don't think that's not how Nynaeve works right now. She cannot control.
But this is a situation where her emotions are heightened enough that she would be able to channel.
Yeah, but her channeling is just instinctual right now. She wouldn't know how to control it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it leaves ambiguous what the point is. What brought her back?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Was it her channeling? We're saying it's her channeling, but we don't see her channel a gateway in. Mm-hmm. So we're just guessing at this point.
Yeah. Add that to the list to ask Rafe.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, maybe Egwene's channeling at it did something. Maybe it activated it enough that...
helped.
that Nynaeve could access it from the other side.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't know.
They did not make that explicit, though. So
it's true.
we're still, theorizing, and I think there are a lot of clues there. They don't quite connect.
Mm-hmm. Yep. One last thing in the White Tower before, we move on to one of the other sections. I loved the moment with Egwene and Liandrin head to head, which makes me wonder if your theory of Liandrin being a Lyda is true.
Yeah.
Because if so, this epic fight between the two of them
it's already brewing.
Is already brewing. It's already foreshadowed. Mm-hmm. That's a scene that will be in the remember when previously on bit that head to head. Well, absolutely.
You don't know what I'm capable with, and now I'm your Amerlin.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I'd love it.
Yeah.
I'd totally embrace that. You'd raised a question before we leave the Arches entirely. You'd raised a question of what happens if you re-enter the Arches. Would you play that again, or would you face different fears because you're a different person?
I would say you'd probably have a different fear because the just like the Aes Sedai tests that we learned from New Spring, the Aes Sedai that are helping channel can see what happens and can control it from a basic level.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't think it's the same with the Arches necessarily, which means that it's pulling it from the person's, from the novice's head.
Yes.
Which means whatever you're going, you have multiple fears. as witnessed by the fact that there's a different fear in each of the arches, but also you're gonna have layers of it. So even if the situation was the same, you know, it could be kind of like a Groundhog's Day situation where you make changes, little changes as you keep going through, but still it's not really real because it's the end. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the Shanshin, shall we?
Yeah, let's.
Do we think the Shanshin warrior who takes off her helmet is that Egenin?
She was a ship captain, wasn't she?
In the books, yes, but that.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know that she's not a ship captain.
That's true.
That's true. I did check the credits, and we don't have any named people besides named Shanshin.
Alwyn.
Other than Alwyn and High Lady Surath.
Okay. So, well, maybe there's potential
so
there.
It's possible. Yeah.
But you do have someone taking off their helmet, calling attention to their face, and being a recognizable character now. So
yeah, I mean, we've introduced Bail Doman, so why not introduce Egyanin as well?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yep. And then, of course, later on, we all think the wolf that helps runs with Perrin is Hopper.
It's got to be.
Totally Hopper.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Hopper.
The bestest boy.
My heart.
The bestest boy.
Bestest boy.
Yeah. Now, were you surprised at Uno's death?
So surprised.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like shockingly surprised.
And I guess, you know, the Wheel of Time is sort of infamous and criticized for not killing anybody.
Not killing people.
Or most people. So, yeah, this definitely surprised me. Mm-hmm. I guess we have Mishima, and, you know, as we talked about last episode, I think we're going to get a pretty big prophet arc. And Uno was sort of he was like the mitigating factor. He sort of kept Mishima a little bit calm and allowed people to talk with him.
Yeah.
But the other thing was, and this is purely selfish, I loved the scenes when Nynaeve was scolding him. And
oh my gosh, that was
so
the
best. Can you curse every other word? And so he literally cursed every other word.
Every other sentence.
For every other sentence, yeah. And, you know, I'm sad about Uno's death, but I'm also sad that we're going to lose that, because that was a fun scene.
Yeah, and sad that we won't have Guy Roberts anymore.
Definitely.
You know, that's sad.
And
so sad.
Nynaeve isn't really hung up on language, though, is she? Like, she doesn't seem as naggy or as, you know, bossy as Book Nynaeve.
Yeah, I think
not.
If we're gonna streamline things and drop stuff, those are the kinds of things that are.
It's an easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we'll still have the circus menagerie bit, obviously, but
maybe. I don't know.
Maybe I could see them dropping that as well.
Yeah,
because that's like a traveling sort of thing, and you know, we get that to develop Brigitte mostly. But then it's just like, okay, can we go from where you are to Solidar, and then we reestablish the Tower in Exile plotline. So it's one of those skippable things, and if you're gonna condense 14 books into
14 and a half books,
right,
into however many seasons. Have they speculated on how many seasons we're gonna get?
We just know that the original presentation that Rafe put forth was 8
seasons. Okay,
still a lot, so
which is ambitious,
hopefully. Right? Yes.
Yeah. All right,
but that's why we're going to combine 2 and 3.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I had really for the Shanshin.
I had just one. Yeah. Moving on then. We got a party with the Kyrian nobles, and like you said, it was very Versailles-like. I loved it. Do you think that's the sum total we're going to get out of the adaptation of Barthane's Manor Party?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it's a queen, right? Who was the... Shit. What was his name? Starts with a G, and then Tom killed him.
King Gelron, I think, or I forget.
Yeah, I mean, so just the fact that there's a queen now instead of a king, I think...
Yeah.
It completely deviates.
Barthanes was the noble, and he was a Darkfriend noble, and he's the one who delivered the message to Rand that Fane was waiting for him on Toman Head. Mm-hmm. And then we got that really creepy thing where Mach and Shin was, like, guarding
the other side of the ways.
Guarding the ways.
Waiting.
Yeah. But Mach and Shin wasn't scary in the show. So
no, he wasn't. And,
that was one of the biggest disappointments for me in season 1 was that Mach and Shin was like, "Hey, Rand, you're the Dragon Reborn," just in case you didn't know.
What's up?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you things that are going to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
Instead of like, I'm going to rip your soul from you.
I mean, I can see it, though. It kind of makes sense in a weird way. But Galdrian.
Galdrian?
I think.
Galdrian.
Yeah.
Galdrian? Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yes, you're welcome.
I think
I'm here.
What I loved about that whole sequence in the books, though, was how Rand is just doing these, like, completely ignorant, stupid things.
Yes.
And it's the fact that all of these nobles are just so intent on reading into things that aren't at all there that just keep elevating Rand's status. He burns every invitation because he doesn't want to deal with it. They say, "Oh, he must be deep in the game." And, he's this guy who looks like an Aielman, but he's wearing a sword, which an Aiel would never touch. And he talks like a borderlander.
He's got a fancy coat.
And just
and redhead reminiscent of Andor.
Dissonant thing. Yeah. And every dissonant thing that doesn't add up. Mm-hmm. And these nobles are just like foaming at the mouth trying to figure him out. Mm-hmm. And he's just sort of tripping his way through, Tavern, of course.
Come on. Let's talk about how perfect Rand is, because he's such a douche nozzle. It's such this is the perfect reason why Rand is no one's favorite character. Don't at me. Don't come after me. I don't want to hear.
I love Rand. But
I can love Rand without having him be a favorite character.
Yeah. Sure. But he this is Tavern. This is Tavern in the cosmology in the books, where he just can trip his way into success.
Yeah.
And not even know what he's doing. And that was played for such... I loved the humor of that.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
He does not know what he's doing, and yet everything is revolving the way it needs to revolve around him.
Yes, which, let's be honest, I don't hate it as much in the show as I get frustrated with it in the books.
Right. Well, because they haven't even mentioned Ta'Veren in the past 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, because Maureen isn't here to, she's got her own problems.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is Rand is showing a lot more agency now. Like, he orchestrated getting near Logain. Now, that didn't work out, but, he's been acting. He's been doing things, and, he... Later on in the books...
He's been doing it with Forsaken, but, that's fine.
Well, and that's the other thing, is that, later on in the books... Rand goes pretty dark, and he's already kind of there.
Yeah,
he's being violent. He's channeling and doing nasty things. He's plotting and trying to use people. He's already sort of in that mode.
Yeah, he's already lost his innocence.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, so. Which is nice. I think that's the nice thing about all of these characters being a little bit older.
Yes.
The knowledge of the innocence being lost is less corrupting children and more living life, which I think is really nice. Another thing that we learned this episode is that men can glow when a male channeler sees another male channeler. he can see that they're glowing,
Yeah.
which is interesting because in the books it's the opposite.
Right.
That women can tell if you're a channeler
And
because you're glowing when you're channeling, but we
Yeah.
haven't seen that necessarily, just the weaves moving.
And what Logain in the books said is that he has a talent for seeing Tavarin.
Yes.
And he saw Rand burning like a beacon from far away. And
Yep.
he knew that, the earth would be shaken, et cetera, et cetera. So, I wonder if this is something that they're going to backtrack on and say, well, because I don't know how many other male channelers Logain has encountered.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But, and then,
Probably at least one.
you think?
Well, if he knows that he could recognize the channeling.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Means he's seen at least 2 total.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a chance that somebody has come in and did some sort of teaching for him. Possibly.
Possibly.
Probably not. He probably did it a lot on his own, but you never know. It's possible.
If we do indeed get Mazrim Taim, who was mentioned,
Yes.
then maybe we'll start seeing it. And, I think in a visual medium like a show, having men glow, men who channel glow, is probably going to be a useful kind of visual indicator. So,
Yeah.
that might be all right. Otherwise, it was just the sense of menace, and you can't show that on TV.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think it'll be really interesting to see when the Black Tower comes into play, because we know that this is going to happen. We know there has to be a Black Tower, period.
Yep.
Some sort of variation on it. So this idea of searching for male channelers will be a little bit different.
Right.
Since they don't have to channel to make it work.
And in the first season, Moraine admits she didn't know Nynaeve could channel, so the women can't see or sense anything. So maybe they're just trying to balance it out a little more. Because in the books, we get a lot of Saidar.
Yeah.
I mean,
interesting.
except you have the Damani pointing out women that can channel.
Oh, that's a good point.
But is it a sense? I was thinking of that too, and we didn't get they could have shown a glow from the Damani's point of view, but they didn't.
Or
They
that
just
the
had a-
Damani were channeling something, but you don't even see that they're channeling. So,
Well, then how would Moraine
It's
not
hard
know
to do
Nynaeve could
points of
channel?
view.
Like, she's the most powerful channeler.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
Unless it had to be, triggered or something, because she had the block that maybe... I don't know. You know what? Add that to the list for
Okay,
me.
yes.
It's a big list.
Yep, absolutely. Do we have anything else from the books?
I don't have anything else.
No, nothing else.
Excellent. Well, you can find links to follow us online in the show notes or on Dragonmount.com. On our website, we have so much great content about the Wheel of Time. Blog posts, chapter and episode summaries, news, as well as links to our YouTube channel that has a ton of great videos there. You will definitely find something to entertain you. Also, make sure to check out our Patreon. Not only do you get to support the community of creators here at Dragonmount, but we have a ton of other goodies for you too. We're going to be revamping it over the next year, but right now you can see the full interviews I did with some of the cast from season 2, including with our very own Kira Coveney, Elaine, and how much I praised her perfect balance of being a prissy noble and a scared novice.
Yes.
So I definitely want you to check that out. And I have a feeling that our conversation about tattoos will not be in this episode, but instead will be cut and put on our Patreon, because that was a long conversation about tattoos.
That was long.
So if you're hearing this and you didn't hear the 20-minute conversation about tattoos, check out our Patreon, because I bet it's going to be over there.
That would make sense.
I've been Kathy Campbell.
I'm Rajiv Moté.
And I'm Maureen Carr.
This is not the ending, but it is an ending. Thanks so much for listening, and we hope you have an absolutely incredible day.